Welcome once again to another edition of Quoth the Raven, Louis Bright Raven. I'm your host, Louis Bright Raven, 29-year veteran writer, illustrator, and editor of comics, science fiction, fantasy, horror, and role-playing games. It is November 1st. It is a brand new month, and thank goodness we're done with Booktober and all the craziness of all the daily videos I had to do this past month. We come up for air. But tonight, we've got roundtable discussion, and my guest at this time is the one and only Ted Davies of Ted Davies Artistry. Come on in, Dad.
Hi, guys. How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for having me on, Louis. Appreciate it. Pops, what's up?
Hey, Pop Culture says, good evening, Raven, Captain Midnight, which is my black kitty who is nowhere to be seen today at this time, and Ted Grim Davies.
What's going on, Paul? How are you? Good.
Yeah,
good.
It's been a crazy time this past month, and you've been keeping quite busy yourself.
Yep.
What was it, about a week and a half ago? You launched your current Kickstarter campaign for Grim 101 Book 2.
Yep.
For those of you who don't know what Grim 101 is, let's have Ted give us a quick rundown.
Grim 101 is a 4-part series. It's about a being that's in a cemetery that he doesn't know why he's there. He's been there for about 150 years, and nobody has seen or heard him. And he finds a manual, which is labeled Grim 101. And since he has amnesia and doesn't realize what he's doing there, he decides to kind of live this book out. He basically figures that it must be his vocation. It must be what he's supposed to do. And he's terrible at his job, just absolutely terrible. This manual basically tells you how to be a grim in a cemetery, and it goes through and basically, if you've ever gone to a cemetery and you feel guilty or angst or anything like that, or grief, it's because the grim has taken grip of you a little bit. But with this particular story, Jim, the cemetery grim, is, like I said, really bad at his job. People actually feel better when they're in the cemetery, when they're visiting their loved ones and that. But as time goes on, nobody sees him or hears him. So every joke or every story he tells, nobody's hearing him. They can feel him, but they can't hear him. So the story, like I said, is a 4-part series. The first book was a memoir based in Jim's experience of what he's dealing with. The second book that we are on Kickstarter right now is the neighbor next door, the one that lives in the caretaker's cottage. There's a young woman. Her name's Gwen, and she's kind of a Pinterest witch. And she's the only one that can see him. So she thinks that she conjured him up. And so she thinks that's, he's there to do her bidding. And that's not the way the story goes at all. He's like, well, let me tell you, I've been here a long time. So This is where the story goes. So the second book is basically her memoir about the whole experience of meeting this being and her whole experience of living in the area and what's going on with that. So that's where we're at with it. Kind of a dark comedy, dark romantic comedy in a way. So gothic.
And this is, there it is. Okay. And this is the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
There's 12 days to go. We're at $1,931 out of a $2,500 goal. So we got some work to do, folks.
Yeah, little growth. We're about 77%. So happily. But yeah, we could always use a few more people invest. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And this is and for those who wonder, normally I talk about comics. This is not a comic. This is a fictional book with illustrations.
Right.
And here are some of this is the cover without the text.
Right. That'll be the print that's actually going to be coming up, or you can purchase that as well. But go ahead. I don't want to interrupt what you're doing.
Yeah. Again, I want to get to the other artwork that's down here. Here we go.
Sure.
Now, you've been doing these live on your YouTube channel, TED DAVIES Artistry, as well, so that people can see what this is and see that you're working on it.
Yeah, right.
And how many pages of artwork is this going to have?
I think that this one's going to have close to 30. The last book didn't. It had about 20. And I'm looking at, there's a couple things that are falling into place with the story too that I might want to put more images on. And again, these are just hues. These are just just to give you an idea of what the shape of the layout of the book's going to be. They're actually going to be in color. And as I'm working through them, developing, they'll be in more of a watercolor base. So just rest assured, it's not just going to be all gray tones in the book. So.
In Pop Culture says it's fantastic read. It's a fantastic read, basically.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Tell Ted what you told me before on Messenger. I don't know if he heard it or not, but he needs to read it.
Oh, okay. Hopefully it's good.
Oh yeah, it is.
Okay. But the color scheme though is actually a little bit sharper than the first book. As the series progresses, it'll be a little bit more detail, and a little bit more detail throughout the whole series as it develops.
And I think it's a kind of a way of having Jim, I don't want to say materialize into our existence, so to speak, but it's like having an awareness of his presence, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
and that's just it. It is kind of his evolution, if you want to call it that. Eventually you'll see, what he looks like and that's and how Gwen perceives him, because it's her being human and him not. It's a very interesting dynamic on that.
Now you can get the digital for $15. The soft cover, which includes all unlocked stretch goals, for $15.
Correct.
The hardcover, which is a different thing, it just says Grim 101. This is kind of like the actual notebook that Gwen has in the story. It's like you're getting a notebook.
Correct.
And the first one is a red cover, which is Jim's book.
I've got it right here if you want to. So I'll just give you an idea. It's the same layout. It's just we want to make sure they're different tone colors so that we've got some uniformity. But we wanted to have different shades for the different chapters, if you want to call it that, different books in the series.
And again, you mentioned that for $25 you get the book and a print. If you get the hardcover, it's $30, but you get the print. This is part 1 if you missed part 1.
Right.
And then part 2 in the print.
Right. Yep.
And then you can get what we call the Gravedigger bundle, which is both hardcovers and the print. He's made it so that there are retailers you can get 5 copies and 5 prints for $50. That's for issue 1.
Correct.
And then there'll be one for $100 to get you the print for both issues as well.
Right.
How are you doing on this original art?
Good. I think I've sold that one already, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll have to look into it. I'm pretty sure I sold that one.
Okay.
The other 2 tiers are still open, the 500 and 900. Usually those aren't picked up until later at the end. I've seen that happen to where they've gone into the last, literally last week, and then people get anxious and they invest in it. But this one's a little bit different too, this setup, because we've got a figure, which I know you're getting to in a minute. So
yes,
I'll let you look at that.
Yeah, well, you can see the little figurine that's in the little glass case there in that picture.
There's a bigger picture coming up, I think. But anyway, we'll get to it in a second.
Yeah. You can also get add-ons from his other series, Albino Zulu 1 and 2.
Right. Number 2 hasn't been released yet, so that one will be, this will be a first printing of that, which will be great. I haven't had that, up
Right.
yet, but
And of course, Retrieve issue 1, which is in
Right.
second printing.
right.
And
These are also exclusives too. I haven't launched this either, so those will be new second printings as well. So, and that's the first time they'll be listed in the market. So,
and then we get to
there we are.
the limited edition Grimm figure. Do you have your version with you?
Yeah, I do. I ended up. I just got these brought in from. These were just sent in from Damien Walburn down in Louisville. He just sent these in. This is just a spot on. I don't know how you get any better. Any better with Grimm, Jim the Grimm. He did such a good job with this, and I haven't. I left it in the resin state. I haven't painted it yet, but
Right.
it'll be the same. It'll be the same tones that are from the first book. And if you haven't gotten that book, then I suggest you look into it, because you'll see the tones. It'll be a beautiful piece when it's done, and then it'll be in that dome, that plastic dome as well. So yeah, and they're limited to I think we've got 16 total because of the different add-ons, but there's only 10 available on the standard. But once the Kickstarter is done, they'll exponentially go up in price, because the book the book series is getting picked up, and we can talk about that a little bit later. Once it's in development, though, the series it's a whole other economic tier. So
here's a pop culture set. 2 of my favorite indie creators on at the same time.
Oh, very nice. Paul's a great guy. Paul's super, really good guy.
Mark Andrew Smith says the figure looks great.
Thanks, Mark.
And that. I mean, when I saw that, I actually asked you for contact information.
Yeah.
When I do Spacey, I'm going to have him.
You need to.
I'm
Damien.
going to
I call Damien Da Vinci for a reason, because he's amazing. The guy is absolutely fantastic. I can't. Yeah. He's gone over and above with Retrieve, with the Archimedes. It's just incredible the things he's done for me to be able to talk to other. Well, we'll go into that in a little bit, but the production side of it, everything, was just amazing. And his figure really on my Retrieve program, really, it set the whole tone for everything. So this Grimm here, this Jim the Grimm is such a great collector's piece. I'm really looking forward to people allowing me to do the painting too of it, and get it to the point where it's looking like, it's 3D. It's amazing. That's all I can say about it. It's just amazing.
So there's quite a bit of stuff that you can offer on that. I think on the page, I'll have to check real quick. Yes, I do have the Kickstarter in the description, and the link to Ted Davies Artistry in the description down below.
Thank you.
So make sure you check those out and get more information direct on the actual page. And let me go ahead and kill my sound on that other
thing,
because I got my YouTube page open just in case something goes wrong.
Sure, understand that.
But yeah, it's an interesting situation, because it's not just the books. You have had a recent foray into Hollywood.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, big time. It was quite exciting. Quite exciting stuff. Yeah. And
not only has Grimm 101 been picked up for development for a TV series.
Yep, episodic. Yep.
Episodic. But your first book, which was Retrieve, was optioned and is in development for a theatrical release film.
Correct. They're changing a couple things up with the development package, but yeah, essentially it's still in development. But they're thinking that the powers that be think it's probably going to be more episodic as well.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you about that as we get through the story. What happened. I'll tell you why they're deciding that, which I think it's a really good move.
So basically, what we're telling you guys is, for those who are watching the show and are new to this and haven't seen Ted here on the show before, or you haven't heard of these projects, this is going to be limited edition collectible material that is going to be so limited that when this stuff comes out, with any luck, it'll be really successful, and you'll have something that's actually far more valuable than what you paid for.
Right. It's a grassroots investment that could pay off. It will pay off. It's just more so you'll have a piece of the starting of it all, and that's the big thing. I find that really exciting because not many people it's just the kind of the core, that got into the beginning of it, and I really like that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
So
I don't know who else bought what. I know I backed the soft cover because I got the soft cover, and then I added the figurine.
Oh, good deal. Yes, thank you.
I just had to have that figurine.
Yeah. It'll be sweet. I promise you. I'm an old model railroad fan, and I'm been into miniatures for a long time. So it'll be sweet. I promise you. It'll be beautiful when it's done.
But there's quite a bit of stuff that you can pick on your pledges. Again, if you're a retailer, please order the books. I know that a lot of you are comics. Well, I'm a comic shop owner. This isn't going to sell in my store. This isn't comics. You got to remember, this is stuff that's not just. This is something that you can market to.
There's
the girlfriend who doesn't read the comic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they actually sell. I mean, they do sell here. Bay City, they've sold very well. So it really just depends. I know California, I'm getting a lot of pickup out there now for it. So yeah, I think that try to be open-minded about it because you might be really surprised who picks this up. I noticed that some of the younger kids that come in, their mothers have been picking them up. So the storyline's been picked up by moms that were just standing there looking around. Oh, cool, this looks neat. This is different. And that's the kind of market I'm looking for anyway. I'm not looking for, it doesn't have to all be women either. There's a lot of things in the story that are very masculine in a lot of respects.
There's masculine stuff, but there's actually, Grimm 101 is not necessarily, shall we say, kid-friendly. It's not kid-aversive either.
Right. I mean, I really, I put a lot of time and thought into it as far as an educator. I've got a lot of family that are educators, and they're looking at it from a standpoint of how can we teach this? How can we teach writing? How can we teach novella or a hybrid book that's kind of like a comic book, but not? And how can we teach kids to maybe just start writing, or young adults? And that's what I wanted to do with this. That book is set up that way. It's got spaces in it so people can make notations, and it's a piece of to inspire. It's not just to tell a story. So there's a lot of thought that went into it. So Yep.
And I think that's that allows you to be more marketable, not just to traditional outlets, but to like you say, educational outlets, and not just
libraries. The full experience, because not everybody has to buy the book, but it doesn't mean that companies can't. If a library, if they're set up, of course I'm going to donate books to them, of course, but there's a certain amount that they order books as well, and that's part of the revenue stream. You've got to really think outside the box a little bit.
Yes, you do.
In that respect.
Well, people. Well, when you talk about libraries, people don't understand that a lot of libraries, there's different managing editors for managing librarians for each library, but you still have a number of libraries in the county, and the budget goes for the entire county, and it's split between different libraries based on population basis. This is something I've had to deal with here locally in my area because
I think it's great. I think it's a great revenue stream. It really is.
But you kind of have to get them to understand that if you can get them for multiple books for multiple branches, it's easier, so that your book isn't always constantly on hold, waiting to be picked up by the next person. And so I try to get them to understand that when I'm talking to their
the buyers or whoever.
The reviewer group.
Yep.
Because a lot of them are like, well, they're not with this distributor or that distributor, type thing.
Right.
When are they going to be with that distributor? And I said, well, does it really matter?
Yeah.
Does it really, really matter? And so it's like, I tell them, go buy your stuff. What about the Marvel stuff? I'll get you the Marvel stuff on a down low if it's that important to you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, how can you get the Marvel stuff cheaper? I said, trust me, I can. And then they find out, here you go. And then, where did you get this $35 book for $5?
Yeah. Well,
we had to
connections,
pay,
right?
Yeah. Well, it's not just connections. I mean, it's like places like Ollie's.
Right. And Ollie's that's a great example. I mean, I've gotten some just awesome reading material at Ollie's. I think it's terrific. And it's kind of heartbreaking because all these books, that they haven't sold. They just bought them in bulk, from whatever. And I'm like, man, some of these are just great. I picked up the Sandman Overture and that kind of stuff. And yeah, I like Ollie's.
Well, they did sell. It was just that they overprinted.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And they didn't market these books correctly a lot of the time. And so on paper, it looks like they got these huge sales, but it's not sell through.
True.
And and whether it's the comic book retailer or a bookstore or the publisher themselves in a warehouse sitting, that's revenue that's being tied up.
Yeah, just sitting there.
Yeah. So, that was kind of the thing there. I try to tell them, here's a guy who doesn't have millions.
Yeah.
If they want to tie up their money that way, let them. But here's someone who doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But
I understand that.
That's what I kind of do there. But I just, it's been a long time since I've seen this kind of stuff, because you're not the first person I've seen do this kind of format.
Right.
But it's kind of a return to a classical prose meets illustrative complementary work.
Correct. That's a good way to put it. I'm doing it this, I kind of wanted to experiment a little bit with it. I wanted to bring in, like the old books we used to look at and then read, and they might have an illustration here and there. They're just guidelines. They're just an idea, just to get the story a little bit easier into your mind. Maybe help you with your images too, in the book. But it's just to guide it just a little bit.
Okay, Pop has to go feed or take out the dog for a walk, and that's fine. We understand.
Sounds good.
Take care of your little fur baby. We all got to do that.
Yep. You have a good night. Thanks. But yeah, there's a lot to be said for this type of work, and I hope other people do it too. But it doesn't. It's just meant to be a hybrid. It's just trying to see what I can do. I don't really know what to call it. Is it a novella that's illustrated? Is it a book that's illustrated? Whatever. Name it what you want to. Just enjoy the story. That's the thing.
You're gonna freak out when you see me do Spacey if I do Spacey the way I did in the 90s.
I think you should do it.
Well, I'm gonna do it. I just don't know if I'm gonna do it the way I did it in the 90s.
No. Everything evolves, right? So
right, exactly.
I think you should.
For those who don't remember Spacey the Alien, that was a comic book and activity book that I did in the early to mid 90s out of college. And I made quite a decent amount of money on that, but I had to take a break from it when my parents got sick. So I just brought it back.
It's understandable. Yeah.
But that's people have been asking me to bring that back, and they've been asking me to do new stuff. And it's just like,
it's no time like the present, man.
It's true.
And I know that you'll be successful if you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll push whatever I have to. You're always welcome at TED Talks too. You know that.
Yeah.
So.
But and it's weird though. The situation that we see ourselves in these in our market now, because it's not. Everybody says that every product is there to be presented to mass media.
Okay.
It's like they're not really doing comics or books to do comics or books. They're doing it as a platform piece to get the movie deal or the TV deal.
Well, yeah, and that's not why I set out to do it at all.
No,
I know what you're saying. Totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, right. No, I'm saying this is the general consumption that has been brought forth amongst, shall we say, the skeptical among the fandom.
Yeah, understandable.
And there's not some. I mean, there's some validity to that sentiment, because there are a lot of people that very much have done that. But you also have to look at it as a case-by-case basis.
Absolutely.
You can tell when a writer is legitimately like, okay, I got my first 3 issues, I got it picked up, and now they're focused on the film and they don't really do anything with the comic. Yes,
Right.
that was probably what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of it's a cash grab, and I understand. I can get if that's what their goal is. I understand from that standpoint. But if there's no essence to it, if the story's not there, you're not helping anybody but yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's not what I'm about.
Right.
If you end up getting development deals on because if it's a byproduct of what you put out there, because people are interested, that's what you want. Because that's really what's the richness is of it all. You know.
Mark Andrews says, I hate it when people say that. Yep. But also, who cares if there's a way to make some money or be rewarded for the work and effort you put in? That's true. The attitude is, if I make money, it's good. If you make money, then it's bad.
I think we all have to succeed. If we're all in competition, it's never going to work. Honestly, I really think that.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't know. I think it's more of a. I understand where Mark's coming from. I know you do too.
Yeah.
I think from the attitude is more. For those people who seem to, once they get a taste of it, they just push everything that they can.
Yeah, it's just funneled, right? Yeah, and I get that.
And
I get that.
And I mean, yes, you've got 2 projects. That's 2. There are creators in this business who have as many as 20 to 25 projects.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah.
And it's like, no, you don't need to do that. You've got enough over here. Focus on that. Give me the high quality rather than the quantity.
Yeah.
And that's what I tend to be critical of, is the guys who are looking, like you say, it's a cash grab. At least it feels like a cash grab.
Or they're going for what the market's doing right now, or what they think the market's going to do in 3 months. My stories are like, whatever. This is what I think. This is what I'd put out. If the market ends up tending to go that way, then fantastic. If not, maybe 20 years it might do that. Who knows? You know what I mean? But
Mark says, I kind of see any sort of money as a buffer to make more books, if that's what the creators want to do. But a lot of them, they just say, I make more money over here than it is worth my time to make the books. And I think that's where the resentment comes in. It's a scarcity mentality. It's hardest for people in comics to be happy for other people.
I guess, man. But I'll tell you what, the majority of the people I'm around, though, they're pretty supportive. I have to say, they aren't. But I'm that way. I try to be that way.
I think it's who we surround ourselves with.
I mean, you know how I am. I mean, I'm always in your corner. You know that I try to be.
Well, even here's the thing. Whether it's you or Brian K. Morris or other members of the Rising Tide Publications group or media group that Ted is part of, nobody is trash talking anybody. No. Nobody is critical.
They're out. They're out if they do. They're going to get a stern talking to and then out. But
whereas other factions within the overall creative community, that's their shtick, to tear down everybody else, to bolster their own group and say their stuff sucks. Look at ours.
Well, it's kind of I consider it like a corporate structure tactic where they make you're completely, you're distracted. You're pushed onto somebody else's. Oh, look what they're doing wrong. Don't mind what I'm doing, but look what they're doing wrong. It's that kind of bait. It's a little, and corporate America's like that. I remember working in offices that were that way.
And it's like, what are they doing wrong? I'm like, and my concept to them is always, but you were doing it wrong when you were there yourselves.
Yeah, you're beginning. And
that they get mad at me.
Well, I mean, a mirror is hard sometimes to look at. And you got to be, you better be damn sure if you're going to give somebody criticism that you're able to take it. Too. So.
Shotgunning projects. Well, it's not even just shotgunning. I mean, I wonder how many of these guys had this stuff just, years and years of it piled up, and it was done.
Yeah.
And now that they're in it, well, I've got this. And I wonder about that sometimes. And other times I look at it and I can just tell that it's people waving money under their noses and hey, what else you got for me?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's very true though. I mean, that's once you start getting into development talks and that, they will ask you, hey, what else do you have? Do you have anything else that's similar to this? Or do you have will the story continue? What is this, a one-off, one shot? There's a lot of things, because let's boil it down. I mean, once you're in these meetings and that, or once you get around these other, they're creatives, but they're not. I mean, ultimately they're trying to squeeze the sponge as much as they can. Extortion is part of the game. Unfortunately, it's how do we make as much money with this IP as we possibly can. And I get that. Okay, I understand that, because that's what they're in business for.
Absolutely.
No fault of theirs. It's just that's the way it works.
That's the nature of the beast.
Sure. So, I think it behooves you to walk in with a backup plan or a second, IP or a third IP. I don't know if you need to have 20. I think that's a little excessive. And you need to sharpen it to where you're down to maybe 3 and really see what you've got. And, do they cross over? Do any of these stories cross over? Because they do. That's magic. That's great. And is it anything? If it's not like anything else, then it's gold. If it's just another reboot idea, then forget it. If it's not an original idea, forget it. Every story's been told. I tell people that a lot. It's just my perspective on the story is a little bit different, and that's what you got to look for.
That's true. But I guess that's when I say when I'm critical about the mainstream comics or the so-called independent comic scene within the mainstream. We will see a lot of the same tropes by the same author.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll see a lot of the same. It's like, okay, this is your version of that because you didn't get that pitch through Marvel. This is your version of that, and it's, again, it's not necessarily that their execution is poor or anything of that. It's just that, do I really need that much content from this individual author? And it's not even necessarily the author's fault. It's, in my opinion, the publishers and the editors effectively being lazy. I know this person. I like this. I'll just get more from them rather than hunt for more. Yeah. We say we want more diversity in our entertainment, but that's what diversity is. It's not about B% black, Q% queer, whatever. It's about getting the different voices and different ideologies out there.
Yeah.
And that can come from any culture or race or gender or sexuality.
And that's the richness of it. If you do that, if you do it properly and not do it as a, if you're doing it as a statement, that's one thing. But if you're doing it just to fit into that not genre, but that collective, whether it's a gay community, whatever, if you're doing it just to fit into that so that your market is that much larger, I don't consider that ethical. I think that you really need to be true to the story. And if it is that way throughout the story or whatever, as it's developing and you're compassionate about it, you're not just going in for cash. I mean, I think that's the way to do it. Not just to do it because it's marketable. Hate that.
I was talking to a friend about seeing an indie publisher brag about having a book of 500 intellectual properties.
Wow.
And how I cringe when I hear people bragging about numbers. I mean,
500's a lot. That, I don't know.
Well, there's a difference between having characters and intellectual properties. Folks.
Yeah.
I don't believe he has 500 IPs. He probably has 500 character properties.
That could be.
And that's not the same as an intellectual property.
Yeah.
You can create 500 characters and character designs to say you've got 500 different concepts that are legitimately developed. I mean, that's, I want you guys to think about this. How many books has Stephen King written in his lifetime? It ain't 500. So, and he's one of the people that you can say does expand out.
He's made it. I mean, how many of his movies had affected our lives? I mean, how many books have affected our lives?
Mark says, no, IPs. Okay, well, when you say, is he buying these IPs separate then? Like Platinum Studios? Because Platinum Studios bought all these IPs and bought rights to IPs. And that's a different that's a different animal.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to be your marketing strategy in that too. Diversification's the key, right? To have a bunch of plates spinning on at one time. But there's a certain amount of exhaustion with that kind of number. I can't even fathom.
Yeah, a paragraph for each one in a binder, that's not developed for me.
I mean, you can, I mean, there's got to be, I don't know, like I'm backtracking a bit, but I think that the story's got to be, art's subjective. Everything, art is very subjective. But if the story's not there, then it won't matter.
Yeah.
If the idea, the concept's not there, it won't matter what your name of your character is or his special power or whatever he's doing. If it is a superhero, it won't matter. It won't matter.
Yeah. It's about, well, like you say, we've all got different things that are. I mean, when I saw Grim 101, I saw Cemetery Man. I don't know if you've seen the movie Cemetery Man before.
Yeah, I saw it. It has nothing to do with it. But I can see why you thought that. And I get that. I totally understand that. And I've had other people say, hey, that reminds me of the, what is it, the Graveyard Story with Neil Neil
Gaiman?
Yeah, Neil Gaiman. Okay, so just because of it's a cemetery idea.
Yeah,
nothing to do with it at all. But
exactly,
I can see that. I can totally understand that. So
well, the thing is, we all draw from different aspects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
absolutely,
whether it's consciously or subconsciously.
Sure.
But it's filtered through your own consciousness, and if you do it right, you will find something
that's independent from
right. Exactly.
I mean, even
ourselves.
Right. And I mean, we've all felt like we've all seen stories about ghosts and everything else. I didn't want that, but I figured, you know what about the feelings that we have? That was more important to me. Okay. So what if it was a person's job or a being's job to make you feel like that? That's great. That's for me, that was priceless. I mean, that makes that's pretty cool. I could write about that. And it doesn't mean that he lives in the cemetery. He's got a neighborhood where he's got all these people that live there or dead people. It's nothing like that at all.
No.
But it's just a simple idea that just, worked itself through for me. But
exactly.
But Retrieve was such a the design of Archimedes, the overall design. I did that in a way so that, and we can talk about that in a minute, but I did it in a way so that it was familiar to people. Certain parts of robots are familiar to people, and I wanted something that they felt at ease when they're looking at it. Like, oh, that reminds me of that, as a child, or I remember that. That's really cool. And that's why I like, and that's why they start falling in love with Archimedes, because they're already used to the idea, the shapes but then you get to find out about the intellect behind it, the idea of what this AI is all about. But they've already got their guards down because they've already, oh, that's cool. That reminds me of such and such, or, whatever. So that was, there's a psychological side of it too.
Okay. Well, speaking of which, we'll talk about Retrieve now. Retrieve was out about a year and a half ago. Was that for first came out?
Yeah. We got public. We got I picked it up back. Let's see, that was May. I
want to say 2019.
Yeah, it was May 2019.
Yeah. So
we ended up. So I had that, and then I put it underneath my own imprint on that, and that's anyway. Go ahead, but yeah.
But we of course did market that book here and present that book.
Thank you. Yes.
Show. In fact, I believe I drew the character on the show.
You did. I've got it in Wingman. You guys need to pick up Wingman too. You have this on for sale?
Yes, it's always for sale.
All right, so Wingman, and then what he did was he ended up doing a cover art of Archimedes. Well, I call it inside cover art, but anyway. But thank you for doing that.
Yeah,
and it's your take on Archimedes. He's not like that in my book, but it looks really good. So it's good that you got your
well, we have different art styles.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's good. That's what it's about.
It's an interpretation.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
But yeah, no, that's fine. I appreciate you marketing me because I almost never market myself, as you well know.
You should. Wingman's a great. It's a real treat. It's a real treat. You guys need to look at it. Look at all the different things that you've done over the years, Lewis. It's pretty amazing stuff.
But well, maybe we'll come back to that later this month. But when did you get the call for being picked up as a film?
So
Or now development.
I pitched the idea probably about, let's see, 2014. I came up with the idea. I think I was pitching it probably 2016. Calling up different, people I saw throughout IMBD and all that other stuff. Hey, they're into different scripts, and I could maybe talk to them. And I ended up, I got a few people that were looking at it. But the thing is that you need to get published. You need to have this thing published so that they will look at it. There's no argument about it. I mean, a lot of these guys legally can't look at anything that's not published already. So that has some type of publishing residue on it, something. Because if you don't, I mean, they could use that idea and not realize that they're using that idea. You know what I mean? They might have you got to be careful. A lot of people won't even.
It has to do with copyright and trademark bylaws and clauses, because these guys get so much material that they have to review.
Unbelievable amount of material. Yeah. Unbelievable.
As an editor myself, I've done the slush piles for multiple comics publishers, which is not even a fraction of what Hollywood gets.
Yeah.
And I would get some months up as much as 500, 600 projects to review. So you can imagine what these other guys are doing. Mark wants to know if you cold called or did you write query letters?
I ended up cold calling, and I found out how you contact them. So I called the offices. A couple of them actually had their emails on their websites and that. So I ended up contact information that way. This is years ago. This is 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So, but yeah, I didn't try to blast them. I didn't try to meet them at a Comic-Con and just, hey, this is what I got. Let me buy you a cup of coffee. I wasn't like that at all. But I also knew, now I was trying to build rapport with people. And Craig and I have been talking for years, and that was something that he said, okay, when you're ready to do it, when you're serious about it, I'm intrigued, but you need to publish. If you don't publish, I can't help you. It's not going to happen. So you've got to get this thing out and got to get it published. So I took care of that, got it. And then as soon as that happened, I put all the word out on Facebook, it's where you could buy it, blah, blah, blah. And I get a phone call from John Cashman in Bay City, Jack Cashman's Comics, who does all my, he does all the sponsoring of my show. Check out cashmanscomics.com. They're awesome. If you don't mind me plugging them. In Bay City, Michigan, if you need anything comic-wise, he's the man. John's awesome. John called me. He says, hey, do you know anybody in California? I said, yeah. I said, a couple of people. What's up? And he says, well, I just sent this out to a producer in California. It's the last two I had, so I want to make sure you knew I got it to him. So I said, cool. So I wrote it down, made a note, he told me the name, so I'm like, cool. I just wrote it down real quick and kept it quietly because I figured, okay, well, whatever. We'll see what happens. And that was, that was May. And then June, I got a call. I got a Zoom call. I was told, hey, I want to talk to you. Cool. All right, awesome. So I got a Zoom call from Craig Hall, producer Craig Hall, and he said, you're going to have time. Is your wife there? Because he knows, I do a lot of business decisions with Chris, and we talked during the duration there. We were talking about different things about the ideas and that before any of this. He said, well, I got a Zoom call. I want to set something up. So I said, cool. So Chris and I were talking, and I said, let's sit down. It was a Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, because it was afternoon in California. And he said, hey, I want to pick the book up. He said, I read everything. He said, the idea is sound. He said, it's nothing like I've seen before. He said, nothing that I haven't seen. You've got spirituality, you've got sci-fi. He said, this is gold. He said, it's a brand new idea. This is great. We want to do something with it. I said, all right, cool. How do we do that? And then we explained, the ins and outs of what we had to do. But it's not overnight. It's a year. I mean, it's years to develop it, then to get it, and then, get it to the point where then you got a year plus to do the script. We're doing that. And that's, that's when it went up to California back in August or September, excuse me. So it took over a year for us to get. I mean, there's a lot of things happening, COVID and the wildfires, all these things. It's on and on. The pandemic was a big hit. It was good in one respect because we could write. It was bad in another respect because nobody was buying anything. So it was like, So you've got to look at all of that, and you got to take it in stride.
Mark asked, did you have an agent or manager helping you?
No. I've dealt with enough of this. I've got an attorney. I think it's important that you need to look at copyright law. You've got to look at attorneys that know contracts first off.
Contract law, copyright law, trademark law.
Big time. Big
Those
time.
Those are your three that you need to worry about.
I don't think you need an agent. You can get one. I don't mean that, and I think that they're valid. And I've talked to copyrights.
But you got to do your homework on that too.
Yeah, you do. And there's percentages and everything else. I'd rather pay out somebody. Okay, review this contract for me. What do you think about this? What does it need? Okay, then pay them for that. Thank you. And then if you didn't like them, okay, then you move on to the next person that you trust. But I'm fortunate because I've got my attorney lives down the road. So that was very, it was good. So he's been awesome. But the one thing about all of it is that you are going to have to be able to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to be, it's kind of an exposed wound sometimes. So, and one thing about it is you need to own your own work. We talked about copyrights. Christine and I own the books. Craig Hall's doing the adaption. That's a big part of this. Okay, well, the adaption is the adaption, and I own part of that too. So there's, but we own the copyrights to the books. We own the idea, the IP. That is the thing. That way, Chris and the kids are taken care of if anything happens to me or whatever. The adaption is a whole nother storyline, and not storyline, but it's a whole nother evolution for the story.
Right.
And as long as the sense and the idea are the same, that's power, because you're diversifying the story to where you can't do it in a comic book. Now you've got this huge idea that somebody else has taken that cue, and that's a really awesome thing to watch, especially when they're on your team. When they're not on your team, they stole the idea. That's another whole nother story. But I was very impressed with the way Craig handled everything. So
Mark said the attorney can reach out to production companies and people.
Yeah.
People usually stop for them and pay attention.
Yeah.
But I think mine said it's $300 per person to contact them.
Yeah, I believe it's that much. Yep. I mean, what I usually do, I wouldn't sign anything. You can always talk to people. Don't sign anything. If they get a contract, and get it back to the attorney. That's what I would do. But I mean, there's certain things that I have. I knew going in what I wanted. I knew that we could do it with the type of person Craig is. You got to really go with your gut. If you don't know anybody out there and you don't know what you're doing, obviously get somebody involved, an attorney. Do not sign anything without having an attorney review it. That's the first thing. No matter who you're going out.
This is something. This is why I'm allowing you to talk on this more, because I'm really not a Hollywooder at all.
Well, and I'm not either, for that matter. I'm just being realistic.
No, what I mean is, I'm not one who really wants to see my stuff adapted to that format.
Okay.
So it's not something I've ever really pursued or examined enough to really know what I'm talking about on that front per se. I know some things that, it's just entertainment law in general.
Sure.
But, there are specific language, different aspects to filmmaking and licensing for what's in conjunction with cinema release, VHS release, DVD release, whatever
distribution.
distribution.
There's
all
kinds of stuff. Yeah. And I don't know all of that either. I mean, I'm learning as I'm going here too. So I'm not some pro. I'm just saying this is my experience. I'm with you on that.
No, I'm just saying, for me, I think that's why I didn't want to go there, is because it was like, that's just not what I want to deal with,
And there's a serious amount of trust, period. I mean, you're going to have to trust somebody when it comes down to this.
Yeah, you do. And let's be honest, it's the same thing in comics too.
It is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have to have some level of trust with certain people, and there are times you're going to get burned, learn from it, move on.
Yeah.
Both of us have been burned by different publishers. That's part of the reason why you end up, well, let's just be honest, you had to sue your publisher to get retrieved back.
Well, I mean, it wasn't even that. I just, it was more so, I think that you always have to have a clause to make sure that you can get out. And that's fair. And I would rather have a clause that states that to whatever benefit either party. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. but you need to own your own stuff. You need to
Yeah.
own it. So don't have any, like I said, residue on that. Make sure that it's cut and dry,
Mhm.
and then everybody wins, and then you can move on. That's what you need to do, and that way there's no ill feelings. You just, okay, that was that. Okay, I learned my lesson. Okay, let's just and that you need to have an out. So make sure whatever contract you write, you got some type of out.
Yes, I would
so that
always say,
everybody benefits from it. There doesn't have to be, oh, this is it. It's the end of my, these people are jerks, whatever. You don't have to do that. It's just a waste. It's just a waste.
No, it's called a disillusion clause.
Yes, it is. Yep.
And what it is, folks, is in the event of irreconcilable differences for whatever reasons.
Or if you just want to take the book in another direction. I mean,
Right.
whatever. I mean, whatever it is. Yeah.
Whatever reasons,
Mhm.
You have a specific procedure to go through to terminate your contract.
Yep.
Without prejudice towards either side.
Right. And then it's cut and dry, and then that's it. And then you just walk away from it. It's great. And it's a great way to do business, really, because you've got, and us as self-publishers, you guys can do it on your own. There's really nothing. I mean, I'm writing an article right now for Comics Unlimited for next month. And it's going to be, I suggest you guys really check that publication out. It's under Glenn B. Fleming on Amazon, and it's just amazing. Comics Unlimited. But I'm writing an article about this whole situation right now. That whole thing about being, be savvy, look at YouTube, make sure that you're getting everything from a reliable source so that you know that it's copyright, everything's correct, and that and you feel comfortable with it. But I mean, self-publishing is our landscape, and it's an opportunity right now that we didn't have 20 years ago. Now it's a whole nother ball game. Lewis, I'm preaching the choir here, but yeah. So I mean, don't be afraid of it.
We had it 20 years ago, but it's evolved since 20 years ago.
Yeah.
People gotta, I mean, keep in mind, I was quite successful in the 90s without all these.
Yeah,
internet
absolutely, you were. Yeah.
But I wasn't looking for that transience to mass media. I was looking for a specific thing within comics publishing.
Yes.
And a certain way of distributing goods to not just comic book shops if they were interested, but other markets as well. And today, because you have these tools at your disposal, there's no reason to take it to the next level. You should take it to the next level, but doing so means you have to become more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
That's
and
all.
you need to self-educate. You do. And you have to find out other people's experiences, who you trust and that you admire.
Yep.
One of the things too right now, I think, like I said, diversification is the key. I wasn't looking to get an adaption. I wasn't looking for that at all. I just wanted people to read the book. And it happened that, and I was serious about it. This is what I want you to do. And I hit a lot of people with the book. I just tried to get as many people to look at it. And one of them a couple of them picked it up. One of them, which was a producer. So, but that's just a diversification tactic when you're coming into business. So you've got your books. Okay. You've got this, literally your pull cue with the plate spinning here. Okay. So that's making money, just like in the 50s, on the shows, you would see them spin plate. You got that running. Okay. Now you go over here. Now there's an adaption going. So now you got this, which is development money, totally different revenue stream, but it's going to sell more comic books and vice versa. It's going to build off each other.
Right.
So now you've got, now you're thinking about business now. Okay. So now I've got diversification. What about, let's talk about, the development deal is only for X amount of years. Okay, great. What happens when that goes away? Comic books are still growing over here. They're still growing. It's still producing. So that revenue stream is still there. Marketing, all these other things you're thinking of, shirts,
Yeah. Now we talk about merchandising, whether it's
merchandising, right? So
you're at your new resin figure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And this is Archimedes here. I don't know if you guys saw Archimedes, but this was actually, I don't know if you guys can see that, but this is actually this is one of the pitch, what they call the pitch bots is what I call them, that we took into the meeting with us for the development deal. And next, I think I can't say enough about Demi did such a good job. I
Yeah.
painted the whole thing, and we're working on a series with them. But even the packaging, you walked into a meeting. You can walk into a meeting with this, and you're ready to go, and it's all ready to. I mean, I'm from the Star Wars age. I'm even got my shirt. The first R2D2 and C3PO was my first action figure, and I remember that. Oh, that tangibility. I was 7 years
Star
old.
Wars, and I'm out of here.
I don't want to talk too much. I know it's almost been an hour. I'm sorry.
No. We're good. We're good.
But the marketing side of it is intriguing to me. But I don't want you to feel, because there's a lot of money invested in my end too. I've invested in a lot of things to make this happen.
Yeah, we have to do that too. A lot of people don't want to invest the money.
Right, and a lot of people don't have it. I mean, a lot of things happen in COVID, and it's been very tough.
Well, even before COVID. I mean, I had hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. Then both my parents suffered heart attacks, and I became a full-time caregiver.
And
that
that's
money,
priority.
That money dried up trying to be help them out. That's
priority. That's not anything of your fault. I think that's very honorable.
Yeah.
I'm
going to be honest. It was the right thing to do, but I still should have found the time to keep going and bringing more revenue in too.
You're doing it though. You're just doing a little bit slower. That's okay. You're still doing it right now. Now you're on a not a treadmill, but you're on that path. You're getting there. I mean, you got the show going. You're drawing. A lot of people don't pick up pencil after something like that happens. They're done. They're out. You're still drawing. Yeah. I mean, I got a book of your stuff here. So don't. I firmly believe in you. I've always have though. I've always said that. So
yeah. Unlike some people, which will not name.
Yeah. And it's, energy. The thing I try to do now is I try to put the good energy into what I want to create for other people as well. So when I said to Christine, we had an opportunity like this with Craig. He says, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to write the adaptation for this. Let's make this work. I said, great. And this is a year ago. So I said, okay, well, we're going to have to figure out. He says, you're going to have to come out here for meetings. He said, they'll do it over Zoom, but it's better if they meet with you. So obviously we had to wait till the vaccination, everything, we wanted to make sure everybody's safe, regardless of how you feel. I don't care. I'm just, that's what I needed to do for my own life, for my own psyche. Before I traveled anywhere, I wanted to make sure I was vaccinated with a mask, everything.
That's
just, I'm trying to make sure that everybody's safe and whatever I got to do, Right. So, but that took us to the point of September just recently. But we had these things planned out. I mean, we had 3 meetings, 3 different execs, or 3 different professionals in the field or in the market for this, for adaptation. And, a week before we ended up going out there was a death in Hollywood. One of the actors, I forget the gentleman's name, black actor, really good actor. I really liked him. He was on Empire.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
The Boardwalk Empire. He's a fantastic actor. Forgot his name. Anyway.
Yeah, I can't think of it either.
And a lot of things happened, and people canceled. We got out there, flight. We got there, and Craig met us, and we got there, and it was great. But the meeting got canceled because obviously, things happened during that week, and I get that. I totally understand. I said to Chris, don't stress it. We can do meetings over Zoom or whatever when we get home. Let's just enjoy our time here. Whatever happens. It'll be great. And I wanted that attitude, because you could have just, that's it. It's over. Forget it. The dream's gone. The bubbles burst, whatever. You can't have that attitude. You can't, because that's Hollywood. You have to spin on that dime, because that's what happens. Yeah. And then they don't call you for 6 months. I mean, it happens like that. That's the way it works. But the biggest meeting that we wanted ended up happening. And that was pretty awesome, but it got canceled that morning. So, and I was like, okay, all right, I'm going to keep it. And we did. We kept it together. He says, the reason why we're going to cancel is because I want to spend more time with you tomorrow morning on a Saturday at a coffee shop away from the office. Okay, great. So we did. We ended up meeting, and it took 2 hours, and it was awesome. I mean, it was like the best meeting you could have had. Comic books were exchanged. The marketing side of this with the Archimedes, with the pitch, having all the marketing.
Do you have any more of those?
Actually, I sold out of the 5th one yesterday. There was only 5 originally made for the pitch meetings.
All right.
They are retailing for $125, though, signed, if you'd like one. Anyway, but no, I don't have any more made. There are going to be a couple more. I'm producing. We're actually going to produce a taller one that's actually got articulated movement, and that's going to be. We're going to reduce the price on those, but it'll be numbered. There'll be like 50 to 100 of them made. So I've got him over there, but he's drying right now, so I'm not going to show you that. But if you can imagine, it's this size but bigger. He's bigger. So and he moves.
And is Damien developing that too?
Yeah, I've got. We've kind of got an exclusive thing that we're doing. So he's going to handle. O Toys is the company, and he handles all the TED Davies artistry stuff that we're going to be doing. I am going to do I think we're going to do a Funko-esque pop too of Archimedes as well in time. But I wanted to get them more so than anything else. I wanted to make sure that these aren't really made for action figures. They're more so made for collectors. And that's the thing. It's part of the whole marketing side of the campaign with Retrieve. So
absolutely.
Okay. So in any case, so we had the meeting. It was fantastic. Did very, very well. They got the concept. And when you sit down with people and they start asking questions about the project, not holes in the story, but the actual project. Okay, where's this go now? Okay, this is Archimedes, but the Retrieve program, does he live in, it goes on and on. They're just tearing up the idea. And it was a husband and wife team that were there, and they're both owners of the company. So it was great to see her side of it too. And she was totally getting it. And I'm like, thank you. It's working. This is completely exactly what we wanted. So, and then it came down to, okay, this is what you need to work on. So, we made the list. Okay, this is what we got to do. And that's the other thing that you have to look at when you've got to be, if you trust the people, then
you got to be open-minded to listen to their advice.
Yeah, you got to, because they know the business. They know who they're dealing with. We're in the middle of Burbank. There's movie stars and Ferraris everywhere, and it's like they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They know what they're doing. I told them I wouldn't have come out here and especially in this pandemic and everything. I wouldn't have flown out here. This is extremely stressful on me mentally. Just getting, but it was
it's exciting, but it's stressful.
Yeah, and it was it was just a great experience. It was, we got back from the meeting, and I said to Craig, I'm like, you got to talk to Christine about this, because she's not going to believe, I'm not going to be able to explain what's going on here. So, and that was, and it was remarkable. It was really just a remarkable thing. The development is different than movie making. Development is the key that it basically brings everything together, and you've got some sort of casting and some sort of development of where you're going to do shots and where are we going to be filming, and you build what they call a deck. It's called a package, a Bible, basically, and you build this thing for promotion to other movie houses, and that's basically what it is. So with Film Pool, that's what they're doing, and that's what Craig's doing. We're building the development deal on that, and there's another side of all this too that's really important. And when you're looking at your book and you're looking at adaptions and where people are taking the story, don't be scared of it. Let them go with it, and let them come up with some other ideas, because there's things that Craig's come up with supporting characters that I could have never thought of that work in live action. They don't work in a comic book, but they work so well in the live action. And like I said, I've learned so much with it and how he writes a screenplay versus how I do. I wouldn't know the first thing about a screenplay. And he's been doing it 30 years. That's the other thing too. You've got to make sure that you've got a seasoned person that knows what's going on, that's got connections, because you're not going to get in any meetings if you don't have any connections.
Yeah, a lot of people will look at Kirkman's Walking Dead and say, "Oh, Kirkman did all this. Look at what Kirkman did." Kirkman didn't do shit. Bonaventura is the one who built that damn franchise.
Yeah, and that's good. Well, that's good. See, I didn't know that. But I would. Now I'm thinking about it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but he had the idea to start the little bit of spark.
But like you said,
that's what they bought. They bought the spark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they bought. So and that's a key with Retrieve. It's the same idea. With that, the idea is sound. Okay, and like I said, the idea is pretty simple. If you could,
I think people need to realize this as well. Things in development don't always pan out,
and they don't, and that's okay too. The fact is, I celebrate every victory. So, and you know what? There's development.
One step at a time.
And you know what? we still own the comic book. We still own the rights to all of it. The
Yeah.
adaptation, that's great. We own that too, but a part of it. But don't look at it like that. If it never gets to the silver screen, that's cool. If it never gets to Netflix or whatever, that's cool too. It was developed, and you know what? Somebody else can still buy that developed IP after it goes back on the market.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not. It's free money as far as I'm concerned. If you look at it
Exactly.
from that standpoint,
Yep.
you're still building your IP with your books. You're still
Yeah.
building your,
Well,
you know,
for those of you who don't know who Jim Starlin is, Jim Starlin's a very successful writer. A lot of the stuff with the Avengers Endgame and
Yes.
Thanos and all this stuff, the stuff that
Yep.
Jim wrote for Marvel back in the 60s and 70s, he's got well over $2 million just in developmental money.
Yeah.
That has his own properties that no one's ever even seen in print.
Yep.
So, I mean, and like you say, it's all just turnover money.
And it's meant to develop. I mean, literally, you're still writing script. You know, you've got to, yeah.
Yep. And so, you know, there are means, and people, you know, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people think it's point A to point B to point C. It's point A to point B to point F to point G to point C to point D.
Right.
Right. You know, and it sometimes weird things happen and things get in limbo for a while. Sometimes options run out and they don't get picked up again.
Right.
Times,
absolutely.
Other times you just get it reoptioned by people at one after another, and they just keep trying to get it made. So,
and that's, you know, one thing that we were straight up, and I said to Craig, I said, we want to partner. We want people to partner with us. Mm-hmm. I said, this will be made. It's just, how are we going to do it? You know, and he's like, that's the way I feel about it too. He said, I think that we're in a position that he says, we can have somebody come on with us. And that's the key. I mean, and that's why we were talking about the episodic, because if you end up, if you have, say, a $200 million movie, it's a lot harder to get the $200 million development wise than it is to get with Hulu or Netflix or whatever for 10 million or 20 million. And it's a hell of a lot easier to get those and get 1 or 2 episodes out at a time. So there, you know, it's a real marketing strategy. So how do you look at it? But like I said, I celebrate the every victory. So even if it's not produced, which I think it will be.
Oh, I think it will be too.
I think it will be, because the avenue of everything, and then the continuation story. That was the other thing they asked me in the meeting. What's the continuation? And then I told them, and they're like, it was done. It was not even. I mean, you couldn't. It was awesome. It was great because they bought in, because they understood it, because it's from the beginning to where it ends up, and it's just. I'm not even going to tell you, because I think you're just going to. It's going to blow your hair back. You're going to be just blown away. I'm really excited about it.
Well, of course, you and I have had the discussions about what this is, and you've gone, no, no.
I know, yeah, right.
You know what I'm doing, but you don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But don't think about it, because if you think about it, you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So,
but that's just because that's the kind of person, being a writer and stuff I've done for so long.
Yeah.
I can pick up on it, but that's why you're not telling me. You know what I mean?
Well, and I don't, and it sometimes it's frustrating for people to hear. It's like, oh, he's got it made. Look at what's going on with him. I can't believe it. You know what I mean? And it's not like that at all. I want you to be excited about it, because you know what? It's grassroots. It can happen to anybody. If you've got the right story and you've got the right person that is in the field, you're gold, you know? But it's a partnership totally. I mean, Craig, we were talking about this too. We ended up, Craig and I were really sitting down when we went to California. We got there, and Craig was good enough to set us up for a week. He insisted, so we stayed with him at his home, and we were talking about one of the things that you need to do is you need to build a fan base. You need to build a belief system of people around you, fans. And, you know, I've been working on that for a few years. You and I both have. And it's really taken off. We've really built a huge network of people right now, but it's not to the point where I want it to be smoother than where it is now. And you're doing this to build marketability on your project, because what's happening is not, you know, you as a writer is one thing, but you as a writer with IPs, and now people are buying your stuff and your development's happening. Always, it's building a huge market now. And
Mhm.
Craig and I were talking. Listen, I said, how do we? Because he knows how I feel about creators and trying to help. He sees TED Talks and he knows what I'm trying to do. He says, what would you think if we brought in a podcast together that we do every week, record it. We bring in some heavy hitters from Hollywood and they talk about the business, people that he knows that, and the ins and outs of it, authors, screenwriters, and we brought it to where it could literally be a dining room table meeting. We could just have it so that they could just sit down for an hour or half hour and we can just
Mhm.
talk.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I do with this. It's just that you have with Craig, you've got the Hollywood side of it.
Exactly. And if that's your goal, then that's terrific. That's that, what I mean? This might be a segue for you.
Mhm.
And he's from, Craig's originally from the Midwest. So he's like us, you know what I mean? He's not, he's a transplant out there. He's been there 30 years, but it's like, when it comes down to it, he's still the Midwest guy. He's just out in California.
Right.
So so we came up with the idea of from the trenches of Hollywood.
There's a big difference to being a writer and a producer.
Yeah.
Most of us don't become Hollywoodized.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and we see what it is. You see exactly what it is. You go out there and it's like, wow. Okay. I mean, you're kind of like, wow, okay, you got a little bit of a filter there, which is good. Some people get blown away by it. But so Craig and I came up with the idea that why don't we do like a From the Trenches of Hollywood podcast to where we can get some heavy hitters in there that can really tell people, okay, this is the reality of it. If you got the chops or if you do this certain channel of how you can get to the point where there's no really any more gatekeepers, so to speak, anymore. Right. That the internet kind of leveled that. There's still ways to get in. There's still keys to unlock the doors and stuff. But he said, what if we can get those stories out of those people that don't think that they can get it anywhere? If we can help them. I'm like, that's great. And then in return, people are getting to see our work, see what we're doing in the development field with my stories. I mean, it's a really good win-win for everybody.
Sure.
So, and I said, yeah, so let's do that. So that's premiering 5 p.m. on my channel on YouTube, if I can plug it. 5 p.m. on Fridays.
5 p.m. Friday. This Friday, starting this Friday.
Correct. Yep, it'll be at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. It's called From the Trenches of Hollywood. And it actually, I just posted it. What's that?
So that would be Friday the 5th, 5
correct.
p.m.
Yep. And it'll be every Friday after.
And every Friday after that.
Yep.
That means my Friday is not going to do what I was going to do.
Sorry.
Good. No. That's good. That's why, see, this is why this whole week, I told you I didn't really have the schedule planned.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. I knew you said you had things in the works. And some other people have had some things in the works. And one of the things that I get very annoyed with people who want to play competing games with other people on other people's schedules. Granted, there's only so many hours in a day, and we're going to be bumping against each other.
Yeah, and we will. And you know that I try to schedule things when it's not with I'm part of the Rising Tide thing too, and I have to make sure that their schedule, they have an open at 5 o'clock. Okay, well, I'm going for that one, or 10 o'clock in the morning on Thursday or whatever.
Right, so, exactly. And that's kind of the thing, though. I mean, like last night, I was like, oh, I forgot Aaron Lepresti had his usual show on, and I had my show because I had to have that extra 30-day, 31 days and stuff and everything. So I was like, oh, well. But he was like, "Oh, you weren't there." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry."
Well, they call it a replay. You can watch it later.
Oh no. I do watch them, but
life gets in the way sometimes. But
yeah, life gets in the way sometimes. But then I was there. My show ended at 9, so I could go into Fragaboom's show where Aaron was competing for the title of Fragatober, where everybody was doing sketches every day.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of work, man.
Oh, geez, and if you watched just one of them, they drew Tim Curry's character from Legend last night.
Oh yeah,
the demon character.
Yeah,
and they had an hour to do it.
That's a lot of work for an hour, man.
Yeah.
Was it? How big was the picture? Was it like that? I mean,
no.
Like big, huh? 11 by 17.
Aaron was working 11 by 14. I believe.
Forget it. Forget it.
Dan Fraga was working 1114. One guy, I don't remember his name. Forgive me. He was doing it on the computer.
Yeah.
And his was all in full color.
Oh man.
And it was just like,
had a slight advantage. Slight.
No. He actually had he came in third.
No kidding. Wow. Well, there you go.
But third out of fourth, actually.
That's cool. That's cool.
But I think part of the reason was because, I mean, you're dealing with Aaron Lepresti. I mean, Aaron Lepresti's going to
blow the doors off it. Yeah.
But then we had Irene Wachowski, I think is her last name, and she has an Indiegogo campaign called Fiendish.
Oh, cool.
And she's the one who beat him.
Good for her, you know.
And it was like, you know, and it was funny because we could watch Aaron the whole time doing his.
Yeah.
But Irene's camera and one of the other guys' cameras weren't on the artwork; they were on them while they were drawing.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we saw how Aaron's developed the whole thing, and she's freaking out. Oh my god! I'm never going to be able to beat him. Right. And then she goes, well, here it is.
Everybody's like, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Place went crazy.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Like, yeah. So, and even Aaron was like,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's good.
It's like okay, if I have to lose to you by 1%, I can deal with that. You know?
All right, fair enough. That's good though. At least good sport about it.
Oh yeah, but that was the kind of thing that I want to see more of and do things with people and do. But
I mean, I try to surround myself with that now. I really don't make time for it. I can see I can see the viewpoint where I like to be and where I want to be, and I want to just keep moving towards that.
Yep.
You know, I'll bring people with me accordingly that are positive. But if they're a bunch of suckers, then no. You know what I mean? That was one thing I was warned about. I was told, you know, once the development deal news gets out, you're going to have a lot of people calling you that you haven't heard back in a long time, and you've had, and get ready because your work's going to sell. And it did. It really sold. And that's good though, because it's long overdue on a lot of the stuff I've had. But some of the people I haven't talked to in 10 years, I don't even know. You know, I don't even know how long.
Who? What? Where? Oh yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? You know, what do you?
Yeah.
Why are you contacting me now? But you know, how'd you know? But it was after that Tuesday I made the announcement on my show. I mean, it was like Wednesday, 3:00. People were messaging me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I just made some notes, you know. So just made some notes.
Well, you know, I mean, the funny part of it was, you know, we met through another venue online.
Yep.
And, you know, you were witness to how I got treated over there. Yeah.
And now it's, you know, it's old hat now. It's like whatever. But
it is. But I mean, you could also see, when I left and why.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I gave you the warning, and then it kind of happened to you, but differently. Yeah, and it's like, yep, you told me.
Yep, but it's good that you know, you make your own way. I mean, you make
but we also have to learn. Even though we learn from each other, we also have to walk our own paths.
Sure.
And sometimes make the same mistakes as one another.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so
I don't really even consider mistakes. It's just this part of the journey. We just got to keep moving on.
Well, yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, we won't treat somebody like that. You know what I mean? We don't. Right. I know well enough to not do that. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And maybe the next people won't have the same experience that we did. You know, with that, which is good. And I hope. I just hope that's the main thing.
Yep. Okay. Well, folks, we've been on for a little over an hour.
I'm talking too much. I know.
Oh, no. It's not that. I just know that you tend to have things to do in the mornings.
Yeah, I do. On Tuesdays, I do TED Talks at 10 a.m. But yeah, I do.
Yeah. And I think you have an interview tomorrow, don't you?
I do. I have Matt Knowles coming in from Florida. Little steampunk artist. He's actually really good. He and Steph Cannon, they do a really good job. I'm going to talk with him tomorrow. A little bit about their campaign. I think part of their campaign, but also just him as an artist, what he tries to do and what he creates. But they've got a child's, I don't know the name of it now, but it's a children's-esque story that's coming out. So looking forward to seeing that. So
Okay, so we'll close out here with
Yeah.
Grim. We'll go ahead and bring it back to Grim 101, Book 2.
Yep.
This is the campaign. Let's see if we can refresh it and see if anyone's actually listened to me at all.
It's all good. Well, we get plateaus. That's part of the game. That that happens. So.
Well, probably what it is. I know Pop's backed you already.
Oh yeah, no. We had the two first days. It's just been crazy. It was nuts. We almost.
Pop was like, "What do you mean you're set? You're number 2 backer?" It's like, well, I would have been number 1, but I think your agent was number 1.
Yeah, Lisa jumped on. Yeah, the manager. Yeah, she's good like that. So.
Yeah, so it was like, So it was like, because I didn't even know it was launched yet. I was like, oh, it's launched.
Yep. Yeah, she launched it like first thing, and she does it every time that we do that. When we have a live event, first thing she does, boom, she starts it up before we even get it going. But yeah.
So there it is. But that kind of freaked him out a little bit. It was like, but we want to see this, not only see the 2,500 goal, like I told you before you launched, if this actually got to high enough above, I would do a piece for the project.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we talked about it. I know that there's I don't want to burden you with it yet.
No. We got to get to it's got to go beyond the 2,500 goal. And then if it doesn't, then we'll talk about it for book 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we'll do.
Sounds good.
And people go, well, why is he willing to do that for him? Because you're buddies. I'm going to be honest. It's also beneficial to me to do stuff like this. It gets my work out there in places where it otherwise wouldn't be seen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And Ted does the same thing for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He's done covers for, I don't know, 4 or 5 different Kickstarters now?
Yeah. That's 6 now. But yeah.
6 now?
And then we got a few more coming out next year, first of next year. But yeah. Yep.
And that's kind of the thing. You kind of have to, this is how we give back and try to
Right.
And share
the community. Absolutely. And it's great for it's reciprocated all the way around. It's great.
Yep. So I'm gonna have to see if I can get the embed here. Here we go.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that in our chat as well, even though it's already on. The link is down below in the description of the video. There it is again. So you can go visit it.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And you can also go to make sure you spell it right.
Yeah.
Computer. There's the other one, TEDDaviesArtistry.com. Again, both of those links are in the description below. You can get all kinds of fun stuff from Ted. He's got a store at the site. You can go get T-shirts, posters, prints.
Yep.
And not just stuff pertaining to Retrieve or Grim 101 or Albino Zulu, which has also been mentioned a little briefly.
Yep.
But also just prints about different art
that I've done,
that he's done, and shirts that have different images that we haven't talked about.
You can get my images on just about anything, even a toilet seat cover, I think. But yeah, if you want it, I've gotten a lot of people. You know what people have been buying are rugs for their bathroom. A bunch of my tiki rugs. It's crazy. I know. Whatever. You can buy whatever you want. But yeah, isn't that cool?
Hey,
whatever.
If your money's good, I'll take it. Right.
No problem. Yep.
You're like, thank you.
I had a person buy a tiki shower curtain. Okay, cool. No problem. If you want to look at my artwork while you're in the shower, that's great. Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. is it funny to you, or is it just,
It's kind of humbling. It's fun. It's humorous and humbling all in one, because I'm very humbled, because it's nice that people think enough. They say, that's cool. That's going to brighten my day. Okay, cool, awesome. So that's
yeah.
good. I appreciate it.
Alrighty.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Lewis, for having me on.
Oh,
Greatly.
always. You know, like Pop says, you are actually one of our favorite guests on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
A lot of people tend, you get numbers for views usually, even if it's after the live, and people do ask me about you quite a bit. So
good. I hope I'm here. So they
yeah.
can always, and that's always, I always try to watch what I can with you, because I know I'm getting busy. But what's cool about you is that I can, when I'm drawing, and then I can throw it on, and I can listen in the background while I'm still, it's not too distracting, because sometimes I get really involved with what you guys are talking about, but I don't have time to type out stuff, and I'll make, oh, that's kind of weird. Okay, that's kind of cool. And I'll be drawing something. And I'm like, okay, they'll know I'm here though, because at least I say hello or whatever. But it's hard, it's hard to do it all.
Well, yeah, well, sometimes, if I, I have said, hey, Ted, I need you to comment.
Yeah.
but
I might be gone, or let the dog out, whatever.
Yeah, but but other than that, I always figure you're, if you've said hello or good day, I figure you're always in the background somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your time. I know I tell people about you on my other shows. You're one of the hardest working guys in indie comics, so I appreciate it. I do. So I make sure they tell you to go on and check out your sub to your YouTube channel. Big time.
Yeah. So this week coming forward, of course, we finished today's, but I got to get to here we go. We got the round table. We're finishing up. Tomorrow, time to be decided. I will be talking about the previews catalog, and we'll be reviewing different things I found in it, what I'm going to be ordering, and what mention some other things that maybe be of interest to folks. Wednesday is time to be announced. We'll do our crowdfunding reviews show. If you happen to know of any crowdfunding that I don't know, that that's closing, especially this week, let me know, Ted, so I can.
We'll do. Yep.
We'll also have a live draw episode. Thursday will probably be in the afternoon. What did you get this week? When I go get my stuff from the store on Wednesday,
That's cool.
Thursday I do my reviews. Friday was to be decided. I don't know if I'm going to do a show Friday, because I really want to watch this.
It's only going to be about 40 minutes, so it's a very short and sweet, and that's the way you want to do it. It's an introduction, so it's good. Okay. You'll enjoy it.
Okay, so yeah, maybe I'll do a live draw leading into it, and then we'll go over there from the live draw or something.
Cool.
We'll see.
Cool.
And then Saturday, 8 p.m. for sure, we'll have our weekend TV movie discussion. We haven't figured out which thing we're discussing yet, but we will have it. So that's basically what we've got. And of course, all these things are subject to change, and I will update daily as to what's going on. But that is the week moving forward.
Sounds good.
So if you guys, hold on a second, there it is. Enjoyed listening to us prattle on.
Yeah.
Or you think others might. Hold on a second. This silly screen just did something it wasn't supposed to do. We'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons to continue to get content from this channel. As always, I thank you for watching and for your support. If you want to reach out to me on social media, it's Facebook, Lewis.BrightRaven. At Twitter, I'm at LewisBrightRaven2. You can see some of my artwork at deviantart.com/BrightRaven. You've been watching Quoth the Raven, Lewis Bright Raven, exclusively on YouTube. If you have questions for me about the show, or you want to suggest topics for future episodes, or you want to commission artwork, Quoth the Raven LBR72@gmail.com is the address to check out. And if I don't get back to you within a day or two, try LewisBrightRaven@yahoo.com. To reach Ted, go to TedDaviesArtistry.com. He has contact information on the website. And he's also Ted Davies Artistry on Facebook.
And Instagram, yep.
And Instagram.
Yep.
So there you go. So there, how you reach him. So until then, we'll see you guys next time. As I want to thanks Ted for spending time with us this week.
My pleasure.
And
Absolutely.
I will also bring up this again on crowdfunding day again.
Thank you.
As always. Until it closes, we will make mention of it.
Sounds good. I appreciate it. I do.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Ted. You guys have a good night up there in Michigan, and we'll try to do the same down here. And
try to stay warm.
Oh Lord, how is it up there weather-wise? I mean,
it's not bad. It was it's 40 degrees today, but it was sunny. So the winds have been pretty strong on the lake. So it's been,
it's the
Great Lake. You know how it goes. So.
Oh, Grant, you're coming in the last.
Hey, Grant, what's up, man? How are you? It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good, Grant. But you can watch it on the replay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But no problem. Yeah, but it has been a little bit windy, but that's it. I'll take it. No snow yet. So
yeah, it's fine, Grant. Like I said, we'll be on replay shortly. So you have
too.
a good night.
Thanks,
too.
Grant. Have a good one.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
On Quoth the Raven with the Sprite Raven.